Good morning. I pray that this message finds you all blessed. I just wanted to give you a little bit of encouragement. This morning I was reading in John chapter 8, and Jesus was having a talk with the Pharisees because they were trying to set him up. They had already tried to catch him up with the harlot by asking if they should stone her for what she's done. And Jesus came against them and said, he who is without sin first cast a stone. And they left from the oldest to the youngest, one by one. But later on, Jesus is talking to them, and they are trying to argue with him about who he is and if he's greater than Abraham. And they are saying that they are of Abraham's seed. And Jesus was telling them that Abraham rejoiced in his coming, and that essentially he was telling them, before Abraham was, I am. And that's what he ended up telling them. Those exact words. Before Abraham was, I am. Now, they wanted to claim Abraham for themselves. And it's like a lot of times what we do. We claim a lot of things. We place ownership tags on people. We are of this, we are of that. This is ours, that's ours, and everything else like that. But we need to understand that Jesus is timeless. And before any of those situations and circumstances, before any of those things that you could ever possibly claim came about, Jesus is, not was. Jesus is. Think about the things that you claim over your life. Think about things that hold on to you because you feel like you're stuck and bound to them. Sickness, blindness, deafness, depression, anxiety, stress, poverty. All of these things. Before any of them, Jesus is. So, what we've got to understand is, whatever circumstances we might find ourselves in, whatever situations may befall us, whatever trials or tribulations may come about that seek to destroy us, seek to bring us down, seek to keep us in an oppressive state, whatever it may be, whatever it is that we use or that we utilize, that exalt itself above the knowledge of who God is, that we claim, we have to understand as well, Jesus is before those things were. So if we hold dear to money or cars or jewels or other people, whatever may be our idols, we have to be careful, because before we ever had any of those things that we could cherish and hold dear to our hearts, Jesus is. So to those of you who have idolatry issues, I encourage you to go back and really understand that Jesus is the most important thing. And the Bible says, when you seek first the kingdom of heaven and his righteousness, all these things shall be added unto you. Whatever you cherish and hold dear can always be lost, but through Christ, those things can be gained and more. Allow Jesus to be in his proper place in your life so that those idols are no longer things that you cherish and hold dear, but rather he is. And watch how much more fruitful your life will become. And to those of you who are suffering from issues and ailments, I ask that you allow this to be your declaration daily. Whenever these things pop up, they rear their ugly heads, whenever they become a thought in your mind, just say, before you were, Jesus is. And this should give you the reassurance of knowing that he's greater than it all. That he's the one who can handle it all, because before they ever were in existence, before they ever were a problem, before they ever were a thing to be knowledgeable about, Jesus is. And he conquered sin and death, even on the cross. So there is no situation that may befall you that Jesus doesn't already have an answer for. So begin to declare and decree. Before cancer was, Jesus is. Before blindness was, Jesus is. Before AIDS was, Jesus is. Before poverty was, Jesus is. Before depression was, Jesus is. Before diabetes was, Jesus is. Before high blood pressure was, Jesus is. Before low blood pressure was, Jesus is. Before deafness was, Jesus is. Before obesity was, Jesus is. Whatever it may be, it doesn't matter. Understand, before anything was, Jesus is. The Bible says, in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. And there was nothing that could be made that was made without him. So before even this world was, Jesus is. He's the Alpha and Omega, the beginning and the end. And all good and perfect things come from him. So he's able to conquer whatever may be going on in your life. All you have to do is declare today, before any of these things were, Jesus is.
Pause. But stop.